first.
Yo, what up?
Damn.
Yeah, this early shit. I just woke up and the game just finna download it. Why not? First game back on. Let's see how it go. Hey, you up? You might as well hop on with me. I know you still play 21.
Cheesecake has never had her own young. But being a capybara, she knows exactly what to do with this flesh.
Oh man.
In the wild, capybara help to look after each other's young.
He ain't gotta do that with it.
Parenting duties. And what she's demonstrated
Face with tears of joy. Face with.
Big man still be doing that, bro? Yo, why they got me behind the backboard, bro?
Immaculate bro.
Oh, damn, word. Get your pipe then.
So perhaps Cheesecake here, in this captive situation, has become such an excellent foster mother because her natural instincts to take care of little ones.
He really took it, bro. He really took it. It's...
And I'm taking that one out. Should you know that, don't you? Good stuff.
Yes sir.
Big man still be trying to speed boost on here and shit. Bro, come on now.
Can it explain why a predator would choose to mother what would normally be its prey?
Alright, let me tee you up real quick.
In Ireland, just outside the town of Clara, lives a young couple.
This bitch ass nigga, this is not a play shop, bro.
Roman and Emma Lally own a small farm that they run alongside their day jobs.
Come to paint this on. I dare you,
Have a lovely
bitch.
collection of animals,
That shit out of there.
but wanted some ducks to complete the picture.
Yeah.
So they got in some fertilized eggs.
Alright.
On the day they hatched, Roman went to check on them.
Screen still hit hard. Screen still hit hard. Okay. Okay. Real quick.
And I kind of put one and one together and just presumed that the cat had swallowed up the ducklings. At this stage, they were missing for about 6
Alright, that's a nice little too. First game back in since 22. Well, this is actually my first game back before 22. Let's be honest.
Deb had got there first.
I ended up catching the cat with a duck in her mouth at this stage, and it really looked like she's going to kill the duck. We're only after getting back, and now she's going to eat them right in front of us.
I should have just took it up. That was okay.
I was like, Roman, she's not actually forcefully holding this duck. That's when the amazing thing happened. We put the...
But I hate that early layup shit, bro.
Then all of a sudden, the three of the ducklings wobbled straight underneath the cat. The cat lay down on her side, put her paw.
You just keep getting it.
One of the ducklings and was kind of nursing the duckling towards us. So we were just absolutely blown away with this. Because normally cats would eat with small birds. It was absolutely awesome.
Let's see what he do.
It was awesome. It was just incredible to see it.
Ugh.
She was very content at this stage. She was purring.
Not gonna lie.
She was really looking towards the ducklings. When I was patting her down, I noticed that she actually...
Big man still be doing that gay ass speed bullshit.
Within an hour or so beforehand.
He might as well let me
Very
run.
lucky coincidence for the ducklings that the cat found them just after giving birth herself. For a narrow window of a couple of hours, mothering hormones will have been coursing through her body, causing her to love and nurture any small, warm, furry creature she found next to her.
Bro, what the fuck, 2K, bro? It's always something,
A
bro.
couple of hours before or a couple of hours after, I have no doubt that she would have put the napkin around her neck, knife and fork, salt and pepper, the whole lot.
Nah, I'm
Don't
relaxed. I'm
jump.
chill, bro. I'm chill. I'm chill. I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
Family into a safer spot, but they got an even greater surprise.
As soon as we lifted up the cat,
Look at it. Oh, I got dribble moves only on.
she latched on
Fuck.
to the cat's nipple, so
He got that shit.
Yeah, it was very bizarre.
Damn, I gotta take that shit off. I have to take that shit off.
you know, there's something very strange happening here, and something very strange and also something very unique, you know.
Duck mums don't produce milk, and ducklings are born ready to find their own food and water from their surroundings. So to see them sucking a cat is extraordinary. Experts can only guess that their natural foraging instinct caused them to come upon the milk as an unexpected food source, and their desire for warmth and comfort kept them close to their foster mother. Ronan was keen to separate the ducks, fearful the cat's predatory instincts might kick back in. Emma, being a midwife, recognized something that she regularly sees at work.
There was just so much love there, you know, and like I see it every day in the labour ward. They just want to hold them.
Shit. Alright, this kind of was decent starting off, though. That shit felt weak. I feel weird playing this shit.
With the cat and the ducks. It just took me a while to convince Ronan.
Alright, let's
They're just so unhappy. They're just delighted. They're like, you can't break this bond. It's amazing.
Before long, the ducklings started to outgrow the kittens and gain their independence. Something the cat wasn't so happy with.
These ducks, the yellow kittens, were a lot more active, and she found it hard to control them. She was trying to bring them back underneath her and say, now be good like your brothers and sisters.
Several weeks later, the kittens are still small, and the ducks, although independent, still have an attachment to their surrogate mother. So it would seem that this rare coincidence of a cat giving birth just as the ducklings were making their first steps into the world resulted in this remarkable situation. Filled with an instinct to other small furry creatures, the cat ignored any natural urge to eat the ducklings and took them on as her own.
Violative.
Now, it could be argued that all of this only happened because it was a domestic situation.
Oh no, bro. I feel alright.
Close to each other. But there are other examples that suggest the mothering instinct is so strong this can even happen in the wild. A few years ago, the most surprising example of misplaced mothering took place in Kenya. The story of this lioness and oryx has an unhappy ending, but not for the reason you might think. A newborn oryx, surely just minutes from being this lion's next meal. But to the complete amazement of the rangers who were monitoring the situation, the lioness didn't try to eat it. Instead, she cared for it as if it were her own young. Just like the cat with her ducklings, a strong instinct to protect and nurture was overriding the predatory instinct to kill it. Many theories were put forward as to why she was behaving in this way, and the consensus was that she was a young lioness who'd gone through some kind of traumatic experience involving being separated from her pride. And as a result,
this the new look. This the second person I've seen with this face skin.
Nurture this cat in some way. But unfortunately, the relationship came to a sudden end when the lioness took her eye off the calf for just a few moments. A male lion pounced and killed it. Witnesses described her behavior as exactly that of a lioness who had lost her cubs. Heartbreaking to watch. Everyone thought that was the end of the story. But the lioness went on to adopt not one, but 5 more oryx calves. Now, none of the relationships lasted as long as the first one, but this continuing fixation points to a
I'm sorry,
traumatizing,
y'all. I like to watch animal
desperate
stuff.
nature, even if the young in question isn't her own species. The lioness was always going to struggle to keep the calves alive, especially as she wasn't able to feed them. But there is an example of cross-species mothering I've read about that caused a real stir in the scientific community, because not only was it in the wild, but it was long-lasting. I've travelled to Sao Paulo in Brazil to find out what happened. These two fellas are called marmosets. They're one of the world's smallest monkeys. I mean, this is it. They get this big when they're fully grown. Isn't it inconceivable to think that one of these could be adopted by a completely different species out in the wild? They're also absurdly cute. I mean, what animal wouldn't want to adopt them? And one group of scientists discovered exactly that. It occurred in a forest reserve in the heart of Brazil, between a baby marmoset and a group of capuchin monkeys. I meet up with Professor Patricia Izar, one of the scientists who witnessed this rare event, the only long-term cross-species mothering that's ever been documented in the wild.
When the marmosets, they encounter the capuchins, usually they go away. They are afraid of the capuchins.
Yeah.
They hunt for small mammals, small rodents, and marsupials, and even small primates.
So they've been known to eat a little marmoset or two.
Yeah.
Okay, which makes this entire episode, which you were privy to, even more unusual.
Yes. Suddenly, one day, the female appeared with a very, very tiny marmoset, probably days old. She was carrying the marmoset as if she was carrying her own baby.
This in itself was extremely unusual, but what happened next almost certainly saved the marmoset's life. The capuchin allowed the baby marmoset to breastfeed.
She was here with her mouth and the capuchin nipple. We couldn't tell for sure that she was suckling, but she was in that position several times a day as a baby capuchin, as she would do with a marmoset mother, and she survived.
What did you think when you first saw that?
That for us was really, really amazing.
Yeah, that's unheard of. It's completely unique, this case.
Completely unique. Yes, yes.
Over the coming months, the marmoset became very much part of the group. But there were some differences in the way she was treated. How does it manage to integrate into a group that's essentially very different in its behavior, its ecology, and
Yes,
everything?
perfectly.
Did it work out?
Yes. In fact, the dominant male, sometimes we saw that he was treating her more or less like we treat our pets.
So is this possible? Can animals, other than humans, keep pets? Patricia has some footage that sheds more light on the relationship.
She just looks like one of the pebbles they used to crack the nuts. She's that small. And I'm surprised they didn't squash her by accident. I mean, she's so tiny. Cracking a nut. Is she going to go in for some?
Yes.
And is he going to allow her?
Yes. See the proximity.
He's fine with her. Why do you think he's so relaxed?
Because she's so tiny, he doesn't see her as a competition.
He's watched her take some of the
And
nuts.
that's okay.
It's adorable to watch it in action, isn't it? And he let her, you know. He's not stupid. He wouldn't let her do it if he didn't want her to. So is she like his little toy? She's so cute. She just can't help but just let her get away with murder.
Yeah.
Compared to the other capuchins, you know.
A wild animal keeping another species as a pet is unheard of and would be a hugely significant discovery.
Great tunes as well. By the by, these are very clever monkeys, there's no question.
Animal use was once considered a uniquely human activity. So could pet keeping be another behavior that we share with other animals? We'll never know in this case, as sadly the marmoset disappeared after 14 months. Maybe a predator got her, or perhaps she joined another group of marmosets.
But it does make me wonder if there are any other examples of animals that might keep pets, and if this could be another reason for different species to hang out with each other.
I've tracked down another unusual friendship from a clip I've seen on the internet. It might just be an example of pet keeping in animals, and one that I can visit for myself. The animals in question live on the east coast of the US, near the tourist resort of Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. To track them down, I've headed away from the crowds to a quiet suburb on the banks of an inland river system. Here, an animal trainer named Doc Antle runs a wildlife safari park with an exotic collection of animals that includes a hound named Roscoe and an orangutan named Hanuman that appears to be treating the dog like a pet. Doc is currently training Hanuman to take Roscoe for a walk, but Hanuman seems to be taking it a step further.
Kind of holds on to you for security because
Good with that.
you're the tree at the moment.
I can be a tree. How long has Hanuman and Roscoe?
They've known each other. They've known each other for the last 7 years now.
And how did it all begin? Because it is a bit of an odd couple, isn't it?
They are an odd couple. They met each other by time that they spend down on the river.
Doc often takes his elephant and some of
This shit taking forever.
the orangutans down to the river to cool off and have some fun in the water. But on one occasion, back in 2006, they came across a stray hound dog on their route. One of the orangs, Surya, jumped down and started playing with the hound, and they instantly hit it off. Before long, all the orangs were playing, and the dog had a new group of friends.
They then grab each other and play and pet and start being kids.
Oh, fuck.
And just engaged them. And they thought that he was a fabulous guy.
At the end of the day, Doc headed back, hoping the stray dog would find its own way home. But the hound, who they later named Roscoe, had other ideas.
The dog had made his way into the secure gated area, and he was there with them. And they have a constant supply of food there and water. They put out the water for him, and they also started taking monkey biscuits. He just didn't look at it. They started taking monkey biscuits and handing him monkey biscuits.
Oh,
And the next
so they
time
were like, we want to hang out with Roscoe.
And Roscoe was in that state of really hunger, and he ate everything they would give him until he was it looked like he swallowed a basketball.
Dogs have evolved to be excellent pets, and for the orangs to be feeding and caring for Roscoe suggests they may have been treating him like one. But can that really be the case? If so, that is extraordinary. Now, we still think to this day, I think, that humans are the only animals that keep pets. But, you know, these orangutans are very closely related to us. They're great apes as well. Do you think it's even possible they think of Roscoe as a pet?
I think that it is like a boy and his dog. Says, I've got my dog, we'll go out, we'll play fetch, we have an incredible time together. I love my dog. Now I'm drifting off, I'm with my parents, it's time for dinner, I'm going to go play baseball, and the dog becomes very secondary. I think it's more like that. They love him at the moment. I don't think they pine away for him or wonder where he is or miss him, like you might see adult humans doing to a dog where they become really emotionally attached.
Pet keeping can be defined as looking after an animal of another species with a level of care and affection, primarily for reasons of pleasure. And a very significant part of that care is, of course, feeding them.
Whose is this? What's that? You want that?
Yes.
You want it. You want another one?
Want to give it to Roscoe?
No. Does he want it? Look, he wants it. You know he wants it. Yeah, you knew. See, you decided you wanted to do it that way, though.
Today, Hanneman hangs out with Roscoe whenever he can, and they seem to have a real level of affection for each other. They even go swimming together. Hanneman is only one of 2 apes in the whole world that can swim like this. Now, both Hanneman and Roscoe are obviously trained, so I wonder how much that affects what I'm seeing. To get a scientific perspective on their relationship, I brought along Professor Hal Herzog, an animal behaviorist who's been investigating pet keeping in humans and other animals for many years.
See, eyes wide open, a couple of bubbles out of the mouth, happily swimming in the pool. I've never seen that, have you?
Never.
Right, exactly.
Never.
Now, what do you make of this relationship? You've watched the orangutan.
Bro, I forgot all about festival release. I forgot all about that dodge. Ranger stand, I forgot about that shit. Tyler Shooter.
What impressed me the most was Food Show.
Wow.
Seemed perfectly happy taking.
I got some nice badges on this social, bro.
You know, not dog food.
It was monkey chow.
It was monkey chow for sure. And giving it to those guys.
So what do you think that means, that a great ape would share food with a different species? What do you think is going on in its head?
I think to some extent it means that the great ape is recognizing the existence of the dog as in a way, a like-minded creature. Is treating it like a like-minded creature, just the way we would a dog or a cat.
Do you think we can call this pet keeping?
I would think. Roscoe would think so.
You say yes.
I say Roscoe said
I'm
yes.
just calling my own dog. What do you think?
I think the relationship that those guys have would fall into my definition of pet keeping.
Really?
Yes.
You just seem like it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. But the thing that's interesting for me is that these relationships don't seem to exist outside human agency. And maybe the biggest part of the human agency is being animals.
Hal believes that in the wild, animals are too busy finding food and avoiding predators to have the time to devote to another animal in the way we might look after a pet.
I argue that humans are the only animals that keep pets.
Yes.
Although you do see the rudiments of the motivation in other animals. And to me, what the orangutan here is doing is exemplifying that. That the rudiments of the urge to keep pets are right here in South Carolina. This is the perfect storm here. You've got a human being, Doc, who understands animals at a very, very deep level. You've got this ideal situation where there's plenty of food. And what this shows is that great apes, and probably a lot of other animals, are capable of deeply loving members of another species, but yet they don't seem to do it in the real world, as far as I know, with one exception. It was a case in Brazil where a group of primatologists discovered a troop of capuchin monkeys, and they adopted a 2-month-old marmoset.
Oh, the case is
marmoset.
yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating, and so what to me, this does have the elements that you see in human keeping. Is that the relationship is one of fondness. They're not getting anything out of it. They were feeding the creature, they're not getting that much, and protecting it. But the other thing is it was long-lasting. To me, it's the closest thing to what I would call human pet keeping. But the thing is, it's one case of the millions of hours that primatologists have been, spent with their glasses, and looking at trees, and it's the only case.
The fact that the potential for pet keeping exists in animals other than ourselves is revolutionary. But it's also forcing scientists like Hal to rethink what they know about animal minds. And that's what's been so fascinating about the journey I've been on. By looking at some of the most extreme, unusual, and surprising animal friendships, we can gain a better understanding of the powerful instincts and needs that motivate all animals. Drives that are so strong, they can sometimes cross the species divide. But there is one last pairing that truly challenges what science knows about animal relationships. And that's because it involves the question of animal attraction, possibly even love. And to witness this odd couple, I'm visiting a safari park in South Africa, not far from Pretoria, to meet a kudu, a species of antelope, named Charles. Fine specimen. Charles is a male kudu, and he belongs to a wild herd here.
Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray for everyday dishes, and a whole lot more.
Here in this reserve in South Africa. Now, in a kudu herd, only the dominant male breeds at any one time, and the rest of the males disperse into bachelor herds where they become solitary kudus until they get the chance to usurp the alpha male and grab the throne. And Charles is one of these solitary males, for now at least. He's by the fence. However, this hasn't curbed Charles's desire to find a mate. And in a neighbouring reserve lives a female he's taken a fancy to. When Charles was almost a year old, he began keeping company with a female he probably shouldn't be seeking out in the first place, and the only way he could reach her was by jumping his big fence. There he is. Now, the fact that these animals can jump a fence this high without taking a rain jump is pretty impressive. It also does show quite a bit of commitment for his mating life. He's definitely on a mission. Ever since he's followed her around, he's been hanging out with her, and the rangers have called this female Camilla. Now, just last week, for the first time ever, Charles tried to mate Camilla, and it wasn't successful, to say the least, because Camilla happens to be a giraffe. I've heard that Charles has jumped the fence into the reserve, so if I'm lucky, I'll get to see them together. There he is, there's Charles.